Alright then, lads, ladies, and those of us who know better, my name is Jackson MTT Kenny, and this is Bold and Bright. So, when I was trying to come up with ideas for what I was going to talk about this episode, I had a whole list of notes on my phone, but then last night I was sitting out in my studio, trying to do the artsy stuff because, well, the entire evening I'd been thinking, oh, I really want to do some artsy stuff, I'll just do the artsy stuff. That is not how that worked out. So, if anyone listening to this is an artist themselves, they'll know what art block means, but for those of you not in the know, art block is where maybe you've got the motivation or you haven't got the motivation, but nothing you're creating is turning out right. Absolutely nothing. The art playlist can be on, your materials can all be set out, and you can sketch 100 times, and nothing you make turns out right. I know, I got stuck in that loop last night so, I'm doing Inktober this year. I have kept up all the way to day 13, which is when I'm filming this. So I was trying to catch up on, a piece that I did the other day, which was the one for... Yep, I have them beside me here. The prompt was Wander, so I drew a scene from the Magnus Archive, specifically Season 5. And then the prompt for day 12 was Spicy. And I'm very, very asexual, so I was stumped. And then, my favourite artist, Scott Christian Sava, did a portrait of Desire from The Sandman, and I went, oh, hey, that looks really fun. I'm going to draw Desire. Prompt solved. Again, I am asexual, so I probably should have predicted that trying to draw what is essentially a very fun, flirtatious, and incredibly devious character was going to be hard. It was going to be very, very hard. So I sketched, and I looked at the reference photos. I've got a Pinterest board set up for this year, and that wasn't working. So I put it down for a minute and went back to the other piece of art I was doing, and that wasn't working either, because I had an idea for oh yeah, I'll put all the dark colours at the back to contrast the red, and I'll put the lighter colours at the front so it all kind of fades out. And that was not working. My major thing for this year for Inktober was wanting to practice my ink mixing, so I've got a little ink palette that I have been loving, so I was like, oh yeah, I can totally mix up 7 different shades of green and make them all work. I put green and red in the same picture, even though I know that those two make everything look Christmassy. So I was just adding more and more blue to my green to try to make it look like more of a teal. And maybe less Christmassy, because it's Halloween. Or at least spooky month, and this is Inktober. So you can kind of understand where all that frustration was coming from last night, when I had been so pumped to set up all this artsy stuff and really knock it out of the park. And instead, thumbnail sketch, which is just an itty-bitty doodle of what you're going to draw a little bit bigger. So I just sketched a whole bunch, and I tried to throw colours at things. And that was one of those days where I was just, oh god, I'm an absolute flop as an artist. So that has been me rambling on for a full 4 minutes about how nothing I was working on last night turned out right. But that particular story has a happy ending because I put the art down. I had a minor little artist crisis because, again, nothing was turning out right, and I was... Have you ever heard the thing of not trusting your own, emotions after 9 o'clock? Yeah, it was 11 at that point. So maybe my getting wrapped up in the, oh god, I'm a flop as an artist, that might have been a little bit preemptive. Just a smidge. So, this particular story has a happy ending, because I put the art down, I went about my business, and today I, went back to the art with a bit of a fresher mind and a different art reference, and today it worked. And I am absolutely delighted it did. I mean, I have a good friend who I sent them the picture I did of a... Oh, flip, what was the prompt? The prompt was fortune. I drew a fairground thing. And they were really, really nice about it. Not just nice, they seemed genuinely enthusiastic, and, well, that gave me a great big shot of confidence, so I could go back out today and just draw for a while. And I've got the sketch here with me. I'm really liking how it's turning out. Let's see if I still feel like that after I have to colour it in. Because you can kind of go, I like the sketch, or, I like the line art. Colouring it... I've heard some other artists talking about this. Colouring is usually where we get to the ugly art stage, where just you've splashed down a few base colours and you're kind of going, oh, was that right? I don't think that was right. Ooh, that wasn't right. Again, me trying to make red and green not look like a Christmas tree when they're together. Colours are harder than they look. But I'm feeling pretty upbeat and positive about my art today, so if any of you are artists or creators or doing anything creative whatsoever, don't judge it before it's done. Everything is a work in progress. We are all trying our best. And sometimes the prompt's just really weird and you have to find a better reference picture. So, I'll wrap that up for today. I've been Jackson Kenny and this has been Bold and Bright.